I'd like to introduce Ms. Wendy Sims Fudge. She's going to talk to you in this testimonial video about their involvement in the Happy Helpings program. Ms. Fudge is the director of the Bryan County Family Connections office, and they actually oversee the program or run the program for our sponsor, the Bryan County Board of Commissioners. They've participated in this program for over 30 years, and so they have a wealth of knowledge to share. So I hope that you enjoy this testimonial video from Ms. Sims Fudge.
Hi, I'm Wendy Sims. I am the Executive Director for Bryan County Family Connection. And in Bryan County, Family Connection oversees the summer food service program for the Bryan County Board of Commissioners. Bryan County Board of Commissioners has been a sponsor for summer food for over 30 years, and Family Connection has been overseeing the program for 10 years. We are a bedroom community of Savannah, so we're not far from the coast, but we are the only county east of the Mississippi River that is completely split in half by a military base. So we know that there are children in need across the entire county, and we want to make sure that they have, nutritious meals during the summertime. In the north end right now, we have very few grocery stores, and so we are becoming, unfortunately, at this moment, a food desert. And so we want to make sure that all of the children have access to nutritious meals during the summertime. And even in the south end, where the county is a little more affluent, we know that parents work out of the home. And so sometimes those children are left to fend for themselves, and they're actually able to benefit from the summer lunch program in that aspect, because there is always a nutritious meal available for them when school is out. We have had a lot of success with the program across our county. We've been able to feed so many children. Last year, we fed over 11,000 meals during the COVID year. And I just think it's such a rewarding program, and it's such a rewarding experience. I definitely encourage folks to get involved. And I know that the need exists across the state. I know there are counties or even around us that need summer food. And so I would encourage any organization that is interested to definitely get involved. The state office can help provide so much technical assistance and support and help walk you through getting, everything set up. And then after that, you're really good year after year. I think the first year is the toughest, but I definitely say, do it, try it. And I just don't think you will be disappointed.
Thank you so much for tuning into that. What I find really interesting about their operations is their level of collaboration in Bryan County. So as we mentioned, Bryan County Board of Commissioners is the actual sponsor that we're in agreement with, but then they work with, again, the Bryan County Family Connections office to actually oversee the program. And I'm not sure if they mentioned it in the video, but I believe they work with and contract with the county jail to provide the meals. And so in Bryan County, they're just really just showing a lot of collaboration because they recognize the need in their community and realizing that it may not need to be just one entity or one program or one office making it work in Bryan County. They're all pulling together to make it work. So it's really a great spirit of collaboration. And so I appreciate their commitment over all these years. Absolutely.
Yeah, Wendy was great, and I love that she, bottom line, says just do it. And you're getting a lot of great feedback from both of our testimonials so far that you guys are great to work with here at the DECAL offices, and that's always great feedback. We want to make this, we are partners in this program, very much so, and we want to make it as easy for you as possible while following the very strict guidelines of the USDA in administering the program. But I always like to look up where folks are from, and Wendy is down in Bryan County, which is Richmond Hill, Pembroke, just kind of to the west of Savannah. And it's interesting that you're in an area there, Bryan County, along the coast, not far from Tybee Island, in that area, and yet, as she said, even the more affluent area in the southern part of the county has problems with food insecurity. So you just never know. And we do want to encourage you to partner with other organizations that you can get involved in. And, I am firmly convinced that people everywhere want to do something good for their community. Oftentimes, they just don't know what that might be. This is a great opportunity for you to partner with a civic club, county government, recreation department, uh, any number of things that could come together and make this program work on a short-term or a long-term basis. So definitely reach out, work together on a grassroots level, and really have an impact on your community. And Tamika, I know we always love to know how people have heard about the webinar. So this might be a good opportunity to ask you to let us know how you heard about the webinar. You can use the chat feature for that. Many of you already have, by the way. Thanks for the shout outs from various folks all across the state. I did hear one comment that the volume was low. That is the first time I've ever been accused of being low on volume. So I'm going to write that down, pass it along to my family. But if you want to tell us where you're from and who you represent, put that in the chat feature, but also let us know how you heard about the webinar, because that will help us in our communications going forward, whether it was social media, a podcast, a letter, whatever you might have heard about the web. Maybe you heard it from a friend and you've tuned in because you just want to find out more about it. Let us know in the chat feature. We're also getting to your questions here in a few minutes because we know you've got a few questions along the way, and I think we got a couple of those already that Cindy is monitoring. So Tamika, let's talk more about meal sites.
Yeah, absolutely. So meal sites are, that's really the bread and butter of this. That's exactly where the children are going to come and get the meal. And so again, like I mentioned earlier, anywhere that children congregate could potentially be a great meal site. So think about schools and parks and community centers, hospitals, apartment complex, community pools, and many others. We definitely are interested in serving and coming to the children and serving wherever they are, especially in some of our rural areas that have transportation issues. So we really want to come to the children and operate meal sites in their areas. There's also an option for mobile feeding that you will learn a lot more about if you attend our training, but there's also an option for sponsors to deliver meals along a mobile route. So anyway, just be thinking about where children congregate in your community, and those potentially could be a great place for a Happy Helpings meal site. All right, and speaking of meal sites, I wanted to talk really briefly about our primary 5 types of meal sites. And if you do decide to attend our training, you'll hear a lot more about our different meal sites. I'm going to go through this slide pretty quickly. But first, I would like to say that the majority of our meal sites for Happy Helpings are open sites. That means that any child who comes to that site can show up, receive a meal free of charge, don't have to sign up in advance, don't have to sign anything. These are open sites. So about 80% of our children are receiving meals from open sites, and those are operated in low-income areas. Our closed enrolled sites, on the other hand, are not open, they're closed, and they are serving a specific group of children. At a Boys and Girls Club, they might be serving a certain population of children who are enrolled in their programs. And so those children receive meals through our program as well. Those children receive free meals as well. Those traditionally have to be located in low-income areas or be serving low-income children. We also operate Happy Helpings meal sites at camps, either non-residential or residential. It has to be a nationally recognized camp. But I'd like to note here that these camps must offer a regularly scheduled program, and food service is a part of that. And children that attend these camps, if they qualify for free and reduced price meals, then those meals can be reimbursed through the Happy Helpings program. So again, if you have a camp and you have children who qualify for free and reduced price meals, those meals served to those children can be reimbursed through the Happy Helpings program. But if they are not low-income children, if it is a camp, then those meals are not reimbursable. And then next is our migrant sites. Again, these sites are primarily serving children of migrant workers. These meals are served free of charge as well. These sites can serve up to 3 meals, just like camps can serve up to 3 meals. But again, these are located in low-income areas as well. And last but not least is the National Youth Sports site. These are programs that are operated by colleges or universities. And once we receive confirmation that the children are participating in an actual program, participating in this National Youth Sports, then those children may be eligible to have their meals reimbursed as well. All right, so meal sites. Meal sites are traditionally located in nonprofit locations, excuse me, but it is possible for a site to be a for-profit, but it has to meet certain requirements. And so we can approve meal service sites at for-profit areas if they are obviously operating under the sponsorship of a nonprofit. You can't be a sponsor and not be a nonprofit. So the for-profit site would definitely have to be working with one of our nonprofit sponsors. This site that is a for-profit location would have to be an open site or restricted open site, which basically just means it's still open to any children, but there might be a capacity limit that's restricted open. It has to be located in a low income area, and the meals have to be made available to all children in the area on a first come, first served basis. And all the meals, again, are served free of charge at these for-profit locations, like our other sites. Enrolled for-profit sites or for-profit camps are not eligible to participate. And this is really important to note that if you are approved to operate a for-profit site, the sponsor has to maintain operational control over that site at all times, meaning that the site cannot prepare the meals, they don't receive any funds. Only the sponsor's trained staff and volunteers are permitted to distribute the meals, and no funding can go to that for-profit site in any way. Next, I wanted to talk a little bit more about sites, in that each site has to have a site supervisor designated. Somebody has to be on that site at all times during that meal service that has been trained, that has provided, that's familiar with all of the meal count requirements and the daily meal count record requirements. They also are responsible for ensuring the children have fun activities, and they just overall that the sites are maintaining all of the Happy Helpings program requirements. So each site must have a site supervisor designated and in attendance during the entire meal service. All right, now how to find a sponsor. And so we mentioned this only because as you tune in today and learn about how you can become a Happy Helping sponsor, what the requirements are, if you attend training and you find out that maybe it's just not a great fit for me this year, then we always encourage organizations to consider participating as a site, to get your feet wet and to get more accustomed and to get more familiar, to get more experience with Happy Helpings. So again, if becoming a sponsor this year is not the right time for you, then we ask you to consider being a meal site operating under one of our currently approved sponsors. And so in order to find our current sponsors, you can navigate to decal.ga.gov, our website, go to programs, and then go to nutrition. And then as you see in the screenshot here under program type, you would choose summer food because we're looking for a summer food service program sponsor. You would choose summer food meal sponsors. And then once you hit search, you would see a list of sponsors there. And what you'll find if you go out today, you're going to see sponsors that were approved in 2021 because we haven't started this new year. But in all likelihood, the majority of those sponsors that participated in 2021 will also be participating in 2022. But you'll see some contact information in those search results. So feel free to reach out to those sponsors to ask whether or not they're interested in taking on a new meal site, and they can give you the next steps to do that. Then we're going to pause for some questions here. I wasn't sure if Reg was going to pop in or not, but let's pause. I do see some questions here in the Q&A, so I would kick it over to our very capable folks over there in Cyberland checking our questions and see if there's anything that we can answer so far.
Hi there, Tamika. My name is Cindy Kicklighter, and I work with the Department of Early Care and Learning in Marketing. And I do have some questions for you. A lot of people have asked some great questions. First, we have a question about how do you find, hold on a sec. Is there a method for collaborating with the county government departments and or county public schools? What do you recommend?
How do I recommend collaborating with the local schools or the other local entities?
Yes.
There's a lot of different organizations, that may be able to be a bridge or a gap. And so, I think it really just depends on what entity you're looking at collaborating with. But I know you have Family Connections, you have DFACS offices, you have the local school that may have a connection to a lot of different entities in the county. So I just would encourage you to figure out who those players are in your community, to reach out. We also would be happy to help make some connections. If you reach out to us, we might be able to, we here at Georgia DECAL have a lot of other divisions that work with a lot of program providers in the community. So we would be happy to help you with that as well. But again, just reach out to whoever the players are in your county, and try to reach out and try to establish some collaborations.
Great. Okay, another question. How do you determine free and reduced eligibility?
So there's two ways. So remember, the easiest way for a lot of our open sites are to use either school data or census data. And so when you apply to participate in the program, in our database, we have a list of schools that report to us their free and reduced rates. And so the easiest way is for you to use that school data that basically says, I want to operate a Happy Helpings meal site in an area that is within the school attendance zone that has a free and reduced rate of more than 50 or at least 50%. So again, if your site is located in the attendance zone of a school that has a free and reduced rate of at least 50%, then you can automatically choose that school and say, I'm area eligible. Now, you also have the option, like for closed enroll sites and camps, to actually collect income applications or income eligibility statements, where the families will actually provide the names of their children, provide their income, and then you will be able to use the federal guidelines, the federal income guidelines, to determine whether or not they qualify for free and reduced price meals.
And just another question about that. Where can you find the list of free and reduced lunch schools for 2022?
So if you go out to our website, I don't know the exact navigation, but if you go to Happy Helpings and you go to, I think, Happy Helpings participants information, you should be able to see eligibility information. And once you click on that, you would see a list of all of these schools. It's provided by our awesome Georgia Department of Education. They provided that information to us, and you'll be able to see what their free and reduced price percentage is.
Perfect. Okay, is there an update on waivers that were in place for 2021? They really helped the reach of the program. You might want to explain what waivers are.
Yeah, so there's definitely some veterans on the call. So so USDA has set program requirements that you have to adhere to. But when the public health emergency hit, the USDA quickly responded and realized that some of those normal program requirements may needed to have been relaxed because of the public health emergency. And so they issued a series of waivers. For example, under normal program requirements, children are required to consume the meal on site. If they come to the community pool, they would have to stay there and consume the meal. But one of the waivers allowed children to get the meal and take it back home, or even allow parents or guardians to come pick up the meals for their children. So those were waivers from the normal program requirements. But we have not heard anything on whether or not those waivers will be allowed to be used in 2022. The only thing that we have heard is that if there is an unanticipated school closure during the school year, that sponsors may use those waivers during that unanticipated school closure when no instruction, either in person or virtual, is being provided. Then sponsors may use the waivers under those circumstances. But our traditional summer, we haven't received word yet on whether or not those waivers will be allowed to be used in the traditional summer this year.
Okay, great. We've got some questions about brown bag lunches. So the first question is, are brown bag lunches considered vended? And then I have another person who says, as a nonprofit, could we do meals at the center even if it doesn't have a kitchen? Are they all brown bags? Since we feed the children through the year with snack packs, could we offer this to the same students?
So I think it really just gets into what you consider brown bags. I don't necessarily want to say across the board, yay or nay. So I really think it just depends on how those brown bag lunches came to be. So if your sponsor staff are making the peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and they're taking an orange and they're taking some carrot sticks and they're putting in the bag, then that wouldn't necessarily be vended because you are preparing it. I think it might have been a two-part question. So let me take the first part. Give me the first question again one more time, Cindy. About
Are brown bags considered vended?
Yeah, so again, so it just depends on if your staff are preparing those brown bag lunches, then it would be considered self-prep. If you are contracting with some local restaurant or a caterer, food service management company to put together those brown bags for you, then that's vended. So it kind of boils down to the source to determine whether or not it's self-prep or vended. And what was the second part of your question? What was the second question?
Let me read it again. Hold on just a minute. I think she was asking, like, if you could prepare, as a nonprofit, could we do meals at the center, even if it doesn't have a kitchen? Are they all brown bags?
So you can prepare meals if you don't have a traditional kitchen. It may be a little bit more difficult. So you may want to consider obviously doing meals that don't need to be cooked, right? And so that's definitely possible. If you're doing just a snack, then you could consider preparing meals that way. So absolutely, it's not required that you have a kitchen. It just may dictate what types of meals that you can provide.
Okay. Just a couple more questions here. Are child care and daycare homes eligible to participate in Happy Helpings as a sponsor?
The only way they will be able to participate as a sponsor is if they are, in fact, a nonprofit organization. So they have an active 501c3. And they also will have to make sure that they're serving separate children. So we have a year-round program, a federal feeding program called the Child and Adult Care Food Program, or CACFP. So if that child care center or that daycare home provider is participating in CACFP, they want to make sure that they're serving a separate group of children. You definitely don't want to or are not permitted to serve the same child the same meal under both programs. So we advise that if you are a participant in the CACFP, that you want to serve a separate group of children, you want to maintain totally separate records, you want to basically have a separate Happy Helpings program that's separate from your normal CACFP program. But again, they absolutely can serve as a sponsor as long as they're a nonprofit and meet those requirements.
Okay, perfect. And do you have to serve meals all summer long, or do you have some options there?
You definitely have options. And so we encourage you to serve meals all summer long if you have the capacity to do so. But we also have sponsors who may only serve for 1 week. Think about a vacation Bible school. They may only participate in just 1 week. We also have some organizations that may just serve meals during a one-day event, like a back to school bash or some type of local festival where children will be there. So again, you can make the program fit what your capacity is, either from 1 day to the entire summer.
Okay. And one last question. Can you expand more on the role of a sponsor, pickup and distribution, and enrolling others into the program?
Well, absolutely. A sponsor has the final ultimate responsibility for the program once they sign an agreement with us. So they are responsible for ensuring, however works for them, that their sites get meals. And so the sponsor is responsible for determining whether or not that is going to purchase the meals, whether or not they're going to prepare the meals. Again, the sponsor is responsible for finding out where are good sites in their area, making sure that there's actually a need, making sure there isn't a duplication of services, meaning that if there's another site that's located right across the street, then maybe that might not be a good fit for your sponsor. Maybe there's another area to operate a site. Or if there's a site that's operated by the Georgia Department of Education, maybe there's already a summer feeding program down the street, then the sponsor is expected to do the research and figure out where is there actually a need in their community and locate their sites in those areas.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Tamika. I think that's all we have for right now. So I'll just kick it back over to you guys. Thank you.
All right, and we'll continue to monitor the questions that are coming in through our Q&A. So if you have more questions, just drop those in. Tamika, there was one question that popped up in the chat feature, and I think you've addressed this, but is the school system and DOE, are they also offering meals this summer?
Absolutely. And we're glad for that because we have 159 counties in the state of Georgia. And as we mentioned, 1 in 6 children in Georgia are food insecure. So we really need all hands on deck. And so absolutely, the Georgia Department of Education operates another summer feeding program called the Seamless Summer Option. And so there are also summer feeding programs operating out of schools and other areas in the community. And Happy Helpings is another summer feeding option to try to address the food insecurity rate in Georgia.
Great. All working together. We appreciate their efforts and they appreciate ours. And because of all these combined collaboration, we believe it'll be a better summer for Georgia children and their families. Well, continue to send your questions. We want to cover as many as we can today. So the Q&A feature is the way to go. Let us hear from you, ask your question. We know many of you, this is your first exposure to the program, so there are no dumb questions. I always hate it when people say, well, this is a dumb question. No, it's not. It's a question that you're just wanting to get more information about, and that's important.